What's up, guys? It's Roman Gennaro of the Real Cinema Squad coming to you to summarize episodes 7 and 8 of Criminal Minds Evolution. Episode 7 starts a little bit differently, as we've seen a couple of times in the series that while their main focus is Gold Star, they do bring in other cases throughout the seasons to more mirror the original series where it was a case by case basis. I know that procedurals have kind of moved beyond case of the week unless you're still on network because I think there's a lot of people that don't like the case of the week format. I always have loved it. I feel like you can get more stories and more character development that way, but I understand that some people don't, so that's why Criminal Minds went off the air in 2020 with the intention of coming back in this format. But in episode 7, we see a case that is unrelated to Gold Star, and it opens with an Asian American man, and he's got another Asian American man in a cage, but the cage is translucent and you can see through it. And he's asking him about a woman named Emma. And when he doesn't get the answer that he wants, he gives the man an acid shower, which the man doesn't survive. Cut to the BAU looking for this unsub or unknown subject as Criminal Minds has popularized the use of that term, and he has claimed 3 victims, all Asian American. The BAU is continuing other cases along with solving Gold Star. Rossi and Prentice have to manually go through years of cases to find links between North Star and Gold Star. And as we've learned in previous episodes, North Star was actually started from something known as the white paper that was written by Rossi and his former partner Jason Gideon, played by Mandy Patinkin in the first 2 seasons of Criminal Minds. The two of them started the BAU together and wrote a paper known as the White Paper that almost started to feel like a recipe of how to make a killer, which is why they never published it. So now they're surprised to learn that that paper got out, and that's what the basis of North Star is. So Rossi and Prentice are going through years of files to try to find clues, and Rossi says that Jill Gideon, Jason Gideon's ex-wife, was their version of Garcia because they didn't have the technology back then and would have a better understanding of a lot of these things. Prentice suggests let's contact her, and Rossi forbids it. Prentice goes against his wishes and tracks down Jill, played by Felicity Huffman, in these 2 episodes. Jill Gideon, I don't think had ever been mentioned by name in the original series. We knew that Jason had been married before. We knew that he had a son named Steven. But Prentice tracks down Jill, played by Felicity Huffman, and she reveals that one of the reasons that Rossi left the BAU is that he told Prentice that he wanted to focus on writing books. Jill said it was because that she broke his heart because they had there were feelings and that kind of thing involved, and that's why he really left the BAU in 1997. Prentice convinces Jill that the best thing for these victims is to come back to the BAU, and the episode ends with Rossi seeing Jill again. But before we get there, we cut back to the unsub in his home. He has a baby, and that baby is crying a lot, and so he's taking care of the baby, and he gives the baby a bottle and goes back to bed. There is his wife, Emma, in the bed. So she's alive. She says she's defective and won't be able to love their child, possibly alluding to the fact that she got pregnant through whatever assault that she suffered. The husband claims to have found number 3, and Emma responds with, "Is that why you were out all night?" Alluding to the fact that she's complicit in whatever her husband is doing. JJ and Alves then, however, determined that the 4 victims did not assault Emma, but are instead sperm donors who are biological manifestations of the unsub and his own infertility. The unsub then kidnaps Emma's doctor when Emma is having some issues in their home. The doctor reveals that the wife and child actually died during childbirth, and you find at the end of the episode through JJ and Alves walking into the man's home. The man had been living with the decomposing bodies of his wife and child through some sort of psychological break, and the crying baby and the conversations with his wife were all in his head. Unrelated to the story, we did finally get information as to where Spencer Reed is. They didn't mention him in season 1 as far as where he was. We saw in certain shots throughout the first two seasons that Spencer Reed's stuff is still on his desk, alluding to the fact that he's still with the BAU, but they hadn't given us a straight answer as to where he was. In this episode, when asking about former members of the team, Prentice tells Jill Gideon that Spencer is on sabbatical. This is something that we saw him do a couple of times towards the later seasons of the original run, so it's not uncommon. He had been teaching classes, he had been doing stuff like that in the original run. Maybe he's doing that again. Maybe he's on sabbatical because of something to do with his mother who had been struggling with schizophrenia throughout the original run. We don't know, but now we know that he's officially on sabbatical and could return at any point. We don't know if that will come to fruition. Fast forward to episode 8 and we are back on the trail of Gold Star. Jill reveals that she was the one who leaked the white paper because she had hoped that the white paper would be viewed as a way to help prevent people from becoming killers, and that's what the paper's original intent had been. If we can work up this profile, maybe we can prevent it. And the original idea for what became Stewart House was hers, that it would be a behavioral modification and rehab clinic to help those people. She also reveals that Stewart House was just the first location. So we learn that Stewart House, who eventually kind of went rogue and started experimenting and doing bad things to these people, which is we see Damien and Jade, they're kind of out for revenge because of what happened to them at Stewart House. We learned that Stewart House kind of went rogue after Jill Gideon left, and there are other locations. In the opening scene for episode 8, we see Damien and Jade break into a man's house and question him about Stewart House. The man recognizes Damien as a patient. They beat him, and JJ and Alves later find him dead. He was actually the doctor that hired Jill Gideon at Stewart House. So there's a connection between Jill Gideon and this victim. The BAU learns that all of the other employees that Jill remembered were also dead. The BAU concludes that Jill may be the last remaining target of Damien and Jade, and Rossi promises that the BAU will protect her. Elias Voigt then sends his lawyer to Damien and Jade with a promise to help them and with a message that this does not end with North Star. If Damien and Jade believe that the end of this is with North Star, if they finish the job, then it's over. Voight promises them that it's not over, but does not provide more detail. The lawyer meets just with Jade. When asked where Damien was, Jade tells him to look down. And he looks down at his chest, and there is a laser sight pointed at the middle of his chest. And Jade says that Damien's watching. Jade tells Voight's lawyer that if she closes her fist, because she had a hand up like this, and Damien shot at the lawyer's feet, she says, if I close my fist, Damien will take the shot. And that's important for the end of the episode. Before we get there, Rossi refutes Jill's earlier claim that she broke his heart and says the reason he left the BAU was to give Jason and Jill a chance to be a family. By the time they split, Rossi was on his second marriage. Rossi reveals that Jill Gideon may be the reason why he's never been able to make a relationship work. Later, while studying patient files, Jill tells Rossi to use her as bait. Rossi refuses. Jill then kisses him. Rossi later realizes that she did this to make him uncomfortable enough to leave the house because Jill knew that Damien and Jade were coming for her anyway. And she did this to save Rossi's life. Just as she predicted, Damien shows up and Jill asks to take him somewhere that they can save a little boy's life. Damien agrees. They arrive at Jason Gideon's cabin, and Jill tells him that the little boy they're trying to save is him. Jill profiles him, talks him down, and gets him to see that everything that had happened to him was a lie, that he can start over. Jill and Damien exit the cabin where Rossi, the BAU, and the police are waiting. Damien steps out, and just when it looks like he's going to give himself up, he looks down and sees a laser sight on the ground. He raises his hands, closes his fist, and somewhere in the distance, Jade takes the shot. The episode ends. It is now just Jade versus the BAU. So there you have it. That is Criminal Minds episode 7 and 8. Only two more left in the season. I'm really excited to see where the season ends. Season 2, I believe, for me, has been better than Season 1 of Evolution, and I'm excited to see where it ends up. Let us know in the comments what you think of Criminal Minds Evolution Season 2 so far. I recently got my brother-in-law into the original run of Criminal Minds over the last weekend, so I'm pretty stoked about that. And this is somebody who says that he normally doesn't like police procedurals, but I got him into the show, so that's pretty cool. Let me know in the comments what you think of the season so far, how you think the season's going to end, and what else you'd like us to review on the channel. Until then, subscribe to the channel for more content, and as I said, let us know what you want us to cover. We try to cover a lot of different things as far as movies and television, so let us know what you want us to talk about, and we will give it a shot. Until then, I am Roman of the Real Cinema Squad, and I'll see you on the next one.